It's ToD for real. It's starting. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Man, Sweden's enthusiastic about some StarCraft.
I know. Swedes are the greatest people on the whole planet Earth. I'm actually curious, is anyone here not Swedish?
It's like everybody.
Wow, yeah, and most of the people aren't Swedish. And I was like, Swedish are the best. They were like, yes, they are.
That's amazing.
Is anyone here not from Europe? Wow, I mean, that's a lot of people. Anyone from South America here? It's too cold. In the north position, the man who is allegedly, according to Ben Mr. Bitter Nichols, the favorite to win. It is ToD.
And his opponent down here at 6 o'clock, Liquid Sheth. Sheth right away asking about the map. Terminus has, as we've already stated, has quite a few different versions. This is the one with 2 gases, a full mineral patch, and no back entrance into the third base.
ToD pauses the map. It looks like ToD wants just double confirmation because, again, there's so many versions of all the maps nowadays that I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to want to do. I mean, there's Terminus, LETE, and SE, and all sorts of other things. Yeah, there's the
XL.
Yeah, there's the Terminus mild and Terminus spicy that you can do, and it looks like
Salt and vinegar.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of different versions of Terminus, and in this particular one, the third is basically invulnerable. You can't do the sneak attack at the start. One of the best aspects of the other versions of Terminus, I feel, is that the third expansion, even though it's easy for you to take, it also has the destructible debris right outside the front, so you can do the push against it pretty early on. So it means you can't take the third too quickly. You have to at least think about it just a touch.
Don't you feel like that makes it a little bit too easy for Zerg, though? Because a Forge expanding Protoss player has to deal with Zerg busting down the rocks, coming up that ramp. He has to build probably an extra cannon. I really think it's problematic for Protoss players when they have that back entrance there.
That might actually be a true statement that you've just shared with us. But still, I'll be able to give a comment if I can find out what the map is, because that would be great if like every other map was just the wrong one and we just kind of rolled with it. It looks like Sheth is sort of he's like a lightning rod for map questions.
Well, it's important, man. It's an important part of his strategy, and I would imagine, knowing Sheth, knowing that he's a guy that likes to use Zerglings aggressively, the first thing he's going to look for is a second entrance into his opponent's natural. If he has a prepared build on this map, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like we already saw in that last game when it's like, hey, this is the wrong version of Shakuris. Sheth was like
immediately
on it and just immediately sprinted to the back, so it looks like Sheth is speaking to the admin right now. So given that we do know that the map is Terminus, we see ToD planning down the early expand. I want to talk a little bit about Protoss openings against Zerg when they expand. I do think that the MC-style Void Ray Phoenix stuff has been just generally solid for the most part, but I'm really interested in 2 different variations. One is your thoughts right off the bat of doing some sort of 2-gate Zealot pushing that we've been seeing from Elfie and Kiwikaki, and then the 2 Stargate Phoenix play that we've also been seeing out of Elfie and a variety of other Protoss players. What are your thoughts on both of those?
I think
in order.
Admin says it's the correct map, so we are going to continue on this version of Terminus. I do feel like Void Ray openings have been solved. I think Phoenix openings are excellent because Phoenixes allow you so much map control, so much scouting. It's free harass. You're gonna kill a couple of drones, and you're gonna force a lot of spore crawlers, and that allows Protoss to dictate a little bit the pace of the game. Whereas a Void Ray opening, in my opinion, really requires you to do some substantial damage. And if you don't do that damage, it's really hard to catch up.
Yeah, you know, I mean, getting the Void Ray out to kill off some Overlords is great, but I'm always so torn because if you get an Overlord or a Void Ray and then maybe 2 or 3 Phoenixes, you don't have to do as much damage, but you still kind of have to do something. You don't want to just wander around with these dumb, slow units just bumping into each other, unable to lift anything. So, I mean, MC was making up for that by building 3 or 4 Void Rays and really trying to do a lot of damage to a Zerg that took 3 hatches early on. But I think, like you say, a lot of Zergs are just so spot on with their timings. They're doing smart things like only building Spore Crawlers at one base.
Right.
Instead of saying he could attack anywhere and planting spore crawlers across the map, they just sort of scout, see where things are going on, and just plant the spore crawlers there and then get a ridiculously fast Hydralisk Den, and then suddenly nothing can happen.
Okay, so it looks like they have finally agreed to get this game rolling again, and wait, it is rolling again. I was off looking into space, and I didn't realize it had unpaused. So yeah, we are going to see some kind of Forge opening here from ToD. You also asked about like 2-gate opening with Zealots, sort of Kiwi style. I like that as well, but that's the kind of thing that I feel like if scouted can really backfire hard because it slows down your tech so much.
Yeah. And I will say, I don't think we got the chance to introduce the man in the south position, one of the friendliest pro gamers known to man. It is Liquid Sheth.
And Liquid Sheth is getting a gas really, well, at a normal time, but a little bit not so normal for Terminus.
Yeah, I would absolutely expect him to go pool, hatch. Like that's like strictly what I think that he would be doing. But that said, on a map like Terminus, I mean, you envision trying to block off this entrance early on. I mean, you'd have to throw down a gateway, and yeah, I actually think you can do it with just 3 buildings.
Yeah, I think you can go Forge, Gates, Cybercore, maybe. I'm not really sure. We'll see. I will say this about Sheth. He does seem to have this uncanny ability to get 2 or 3 lings in his opponent's base in like every single game. So.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways to force that to occur. It might seem a little risky to build more than 4 Zerglings right at the start of the game, but if you can build 12 and guarantee 3 to 5, get in your opponent's base, you're going to be comfortably delaying a lot of mining time. You're going to force a Zealot to be produced. Ooh, you do see the Nexus plopping down. Mm-hmm. And Sheth can go into the good old Ling production mode and leaves a single drone and gas. That's always a big indicator that there is some kind of tech sort of secretly planned in the future.
Well, ToD is really slowing down his build here. He's gone Forge, Nexus, Cannon before second Pylon, so he's been sitting on 18 supply for a little while. Now he's going to throw down that gateway as he starts to seal off this gap. I'm not sure that a Cybernetics core seals this.
It's going to be close. I think with the Photon Cannon, maybe. I mean, we're going to try to examine this. I guess we need some sort of like protractor and compass to measure distances and see if it's all going to turn out right. But I think what we're going to have to do is just sit patiently and wait. Right now, ToD's trying to get as much intel as he can. Sheth just revealing the 4 Zerglings, saying this is what I have at this point.
Right.
Don't freak out. I do want to ask ToD if he realizes that it's impossible for units to break through here, just in case he starts building pylons or cannons by this pylon.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see indeed. So these Lings just chasing this probe around in the center of the map. I think maybe he should get back home okay. There's a cannon up. Cybercore is going to go down, and no, I don't think that is going to make a tight wall. Maybe with, I think it would need 2 Zealots to block that. Probe actually dies.
Well, we do see a pair of Zerglings. They get finished.
Nice.
Oh, and he does manage to get the pylon wall off. So ToD,
excellent.
The favorite for the match.
You definitely disagree with that statement, don't you, Sean?
I mean, I definitely enjoy implying that I do.
I've been really impressed with his play recently, and I would not be surprised to see him take this one. Sheth's a great player, though, and I do not want to write him off at all.
I will say, though, ToD, I have not really gotten the chance to see any of his PVZ. I should really hold my tongue in that regard. I mean, you know, go Sheth, woo! But, you know, still, like, ToD has been performing so consistently. And that, I think, is one of the most impressive things to do, because there have been probably more changes in the last 2 months of StarCraft strategy than there have been at any point in time in the history of SC2. All the matchups are having this huge sort of turmoil where no one really knows, is Ling Baneling better in the matchup? What about Roach Hydra? That used to be bad, but now all of a sudden players are being so aggressive. Yeah.
Mutalisks as well, also making a bit of a comeback. So tons and tons of variants possible here. ToD is going to go with the Stargate opening. And I'm really curious, is it going to be Phoenixes? Is it going to be a Void Ray? Cross map like this, initially I'd be like, oh, a Void Ray is a really bad idea. But if we see here, Sheth's taking a third base that is so far out in no man's land that a Void Ray would almost certainly kill it.
Yeah, this is a pretty bold Expo play. We see, Phoenix coming out for ToD. And Phoenixes can't quite lift a building, so it does mean that hatchery is going to be safe for now.
Not yet. Maybe
in Heart of the Swarm. Research very Graviton Beam, and he can lift up that hatch and begin doing 5 points of damage to it.
I think that sounds like a great change. Now, this Phoenix should be able to get a lot of scouting done, but ToD is actually, he's going to make a second Phoenix, and he's not going to reveal them just yet. So it is actually quite unlikely that he's going to scout this hatchery before it completes, and as such, quite unlikely that he'll get there before a queen comes out. So
ooh, I kind of like this timing for ToD. He reveals these 4 gateways. That would generally imply, hey, I'm planning on doing at least some kind of gateway-oriented play, when really the Phoenixes are going to pop in out of nowhere and give Sheth all kinds of trouble. We're seeing Sheth get the layer up, and this is the Zerg technique that I think is really helping them leap forward, is to get so many upgrades, get the really fast layer, and then now is the time when you say, maybe I should get some spore crawlers up. Because suddenly it's not just you slamming some spore crawlers up, praying for no damage, it's you having defense against air and then the ability to counterattack.
Okay, I thought that Sheth had canceled his Evo chamber. I totally misread that. He's got a single Evo chamber up in his natural. He's got a second one going down in his main base. Spore Crawler is also going up at every single base. You were exactly right, Day 9. He is just shoring up his defenses, making sure he's safe against everything. He has been droning so hard. Already 60 drones out on the map for Sheth.
Yeah, I mean, that is a trademark Sheth play, just having stupidly good macro, but keep in mind, ToD has also spent a good number of chrono boosts on those Nexuses, and look at the energy, very, very low, still making more Phoenixes, taking out the destructible debris, poking around in the main. Oh, lifts the queen up.
Yes, this queen is probably going to fall, if not to this first lift, then certainly to the second one. We see spore crawlers going up all over the place for Sheth. One of the cool things about this Phoenix opening is it forces these spores, which isn't killing drones, but it's forcing drones to not be drones. You know, it's indirect damage, is what I like to call it.
It's causing the drones to choose a path in life that is not mining.
Exactly. And Protoss players love it when drones don't mine.
And one of the greatest techniques that you can exploit is that ToD is forcing Hydralisks out of Sheth. If you keep getting Phoenixes, what option do you really have as Zerg? You have to have something that shoots up. And as a result, when all of a sudden ToD begins going for those Colossi, they're already geared up to do a ton of damage because, well, you know, Hydros aren't so good against Colossi, Mr. Bitter.
You're exactly right, Sean. Phoenix is still just poking around the map, being as annoying as they can be, but Sheth is virtually undeterred. He's up to 75 drones. ToD gonna lift up a couple here, and ooh, don't lose a Phoenix, ToD.
Ooh.
Phoenix does fall down. That's definitely not worth it, as those Phoenixes represent all of his map control, all of his ability to scout, all of his ability to figure out what is up in Sheth's base.
And I really like what Sheth's doing. Sheth's saying, all right, well, I'm not going to overbuild Hydralisks at the start. I'm not going to overbuild anything. What I'm going to focus on, though, is really early upgrades. And all of a sudden, it's going to be, again, that extremely aggressive Roach Hydralisk mid-game. You never thought Hydras could be so aggressive until you saw, again, ZVP in the last 2 months.
Yes, I'm with you on that one. We do see almost textbook Protoss play on ToD's side of the map, transitioning right into the Colossi. Thermal Lance on the way, first Colossus on the way. No second Robo yet, but I would imagine that as soon as this third base starts to mine, it will go down. Infestation Pit instead of Spire for Sheth. What do you think about that move?
I'm a little bit torn. I mean, if we are going to go for the Roach Hydra mid-game, then yeah, I would absolutely love to see some more Spire units in play. However, I just don't know at this point in time. ToD is doing a big push with some of those basic gateway units, not even waiting for the Colossus. And this is the ninja timing that so many Protosses are exploiting, not waiting for anything big, just popping into action when Zerg is least expecting it.
Yeah, but Sheth is, he's got a little bit of time to hammer out units. It's Hydralisk Zergling, and that is a very, very powerful army composition against gateway-centric styles. So as long as he gets a good angle and a decent engagement, oh wow, yeah, he's going to be fine. Look at all the, oh my goodness, ToD, I think you're about to give up your whole army.
God, ToD, oh God. Here it comes. Oh, I bet you he force fields the ramp.
He's not looking!
Oh my God, I won the bet, but ToD lost his whole freaking army. All the Zerglings wrapping around, picking off those Stalkers. The Phoenixes try to do some lifting to reinforce, but Sheth gets a dominating lead.
Man.
After crushing that paltry force.
That's bad news for the Protoss player, man. He loses his entire Gateway army. He's just got a few Stalkers at home and a couple of Colossi, and that's going to give Sheth all the room he needs to get aggressive here. There is no force field in sight, and force field is one of the most important parts of making a Protoss death ball deadly.
Ooh, and it looks like Sheth is doing the limbo line style from StarCraft 1, where you rally your units and they never stay in a neat, nice clump. Meanwhile, back home, Sheth has a lot of guys mining gas, and it looks like he may be going for a push. He's going to try to clean up the front. Is he going to go for it? I do not like a decision to attack in this spot.
Hive on the way, Spire on the way, and he is just going to back it off, realizing, hey, that's a pretty narrow choke. I've got to deal with Colossi. I don't want to fight that. Sheth's army, 45 Zerglings, 21 Hydras, and almost 90 drones. That is such typical Sheth play. He loves to drone up really, really hard. So his economy is booming. ToD is about 40 supply back. He is sitting on 3 bases, so that's good for Protoss. He can build a very formidable force, but I mean, the Broodlords aren't that far away. Infestation Pit is down. Energy upgrade is done for those infestors. So I really feel like Zerg's about to hit a point in the game that Protoss just can't handle.
Corruptors starting to be amassed, and if you are at this 96 drone count, that's okay as long as you're going to be willing to build a lot of spine crawlers when the time calls for it. Because even though this force from Sheth managed to crush that initial army, the important aspect of ToD's transitioning is getting the Colossus count high. All of a sudden, these Hydralisks are virtually meaningless in that first engagement. That is, unless those 14 Corruptors can take them down.
Oh my gosh. So many Corruptors on the way out here for Sheth, and I really think losing that initial army from ToD is what's costing him here. If he hadn't done that, he would be maxed out as well, and he'd be able to get aggressive. Instead, he's forced to play a bit defensively here, and with these Corruptors out in play, Sheth's army becomes so much more deadly.
And Sheth has been very responsible about the upgrades. Look at that, immediately getting level 3 upgrades. Does have 2 more Corruptors popping out on the field. Still no Greater Spire, as he does have the +1 attack upgrade. About halfway done right now, and I almost feel, Mr. Bitter, that he should just cancel it and instantly get the Greater Spire, and boom, there it goes. Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to wait another 100 seconds for that to finish, ever. Here's the engagement that could possibly take down this expansion, but he's really just looking to pick off those Colossi.
I'm not crazy about the angle that Sheth's attacking from here, but even if he loses his whole force, he's got so much money banked. 3,000 minerals, 1,000 gas. He can remax 3 times before he has to worry about running out of money. Just a little bit of jockeying for position on both sides of the map here. Sheth not really wanting to engage. I think he wants to wait till that Greater Spire is done so that he can immediately recycle the Corruptors into Broodlords once he takes out the Colossi. ToD has managed to get this 4th base up, and it's pretty secure. Both guys are maxed out. Templar tech coming as well.
Ooh, I like that quite a bit. I mean, the ability to throw down a handful of storms easily deals with a lot of Corruptors. I mean, you need some way to deal damage en masse. Indeed, there is 2 Spires coming up for Liquid Sheth, and if we do the good old exploration of his hotkey setup, we see that there are 58 idle larvae right now. It's going to be a very painful reinforcement, but it looks like ToD is going to go for it. He has the exact mix of units that he wants. There's the engagement. Storms go down, immediately cleaning up a good chunk of units, and I think Sheth may very well just fall back, let those expansions die off so he can rebuild a gigantic fleet of Broodlords.
Yes, ToD is going to go ahead and push the issue. He's killed 1 base, and he's pushing back really hard, and Sheth doing the smart thing, just retreating, losing drones, making... Oh, my God.
Oh, that feels so good. 15 Broodlords en route. ToD, he has Blink, he has Storm, he has all these Colossi.
Sheth is losing bases, though. He's lost 2 bases here. This first base over here at the far left side of the screen has been up for a long time, and it's starting to thin a bit. He doesn't have that many drones there, though. ToD is pushing dangerously far forward. 15 Broodlords just completed, though, and here comes Sheth.
Oh, here's the big engagement. There are no more Corruptors on the map, so that means that these Phoenixes could begin chipping away. But now ToD is in total retreat mode. He sees at the army from Sheth.
Oh, not yours!
Oh,
High Templar!
Ouch.
That's a major loss. That's a huge gas investment completely wasted. ToD is going to fall back to reinforcing Templar, but it's going to take them a while to build up enough energy for storms.
Now Sheth has to begin expanding as aggressively as he can. ToD doing a very clever move, doing some aggro expanding of his own. But where do you go with an army like this on any other map? Almost, you could easily swing around with those Blink Stalkers, avoid the Broodlords entirely. At this point in time, a direct engagement will not favor ToD at all. He was building a good set of Stargates. He can begin building those Void Rays, but he's maxed. And what units do you sacrifice at a time like this?
Oh, I don't know. The Infestors are starting to come out, so Sheth really rounding out that Zerg death ball of sorts. Broodlord is going to start going to work on this 4th expansion, and ToD is going to have to engage this, and he is in fact going to move forward. These Broodlords are doing so much Oh, man, every Phoenix dies. There's the aggressive blink by the Stalker. Some Storm going down. Does ToD have enough?
It looks like the Colossi and Templar are going to be able to clean up the ground force, and he blinks straight under. Oh my god, the Broodlord force is getting absolutely decimated. 100 Zerglings in production, but the Broodlords are so good, they managed to pick off the Stalkers anyways, and these Colossi are the heroes. 31 kills, 47 kills, 31, 30, and 36. Every one of those Colossi is an Executor.
ToD manages to hold there, and now Sheth's the one on the retreat. He's got a ton of Lings out. ToD needs to be very careful not to overextend and get surrounded. There's a nice fungal on some, oh my god, the Colossi doing so much damage, but there's just so many Zerglings, Day 9.
There are way too many Zerglings for ToD to handle. The Executor Colossi may be cleaned up unless they can pull a miracle, and it does indeed look like the end of this force from ToD, and suddenly Liquid Sheth is down to no money at all. What an absurd series of trades in Army, and both players are looking fairly low on cash.
This is still silly close. 125 supply to 130 supply. Sheth's Army looking a little bit better, in my opinion, in that he's got Hydralisks and Broodlords, but ToD is building up some pretty terrifying stuff. He's got Archons, he's got Zealots with no charge, Blinkstalkers, Void Rays, and a few High Templar with Storm. Economy-wise, it's 79 probes to 77 drones, so we've got a very, very even incomes here from both these players. And, you know, I couldn't possibly call which way this is going to go.
Well, I do see a Warp Prism, so regardless, ToD. I mean, as I was saying, I really think ToD was favored to win this match, and I think that this Warp Prism play is one of those reasons why.
We will see. The Warp Prism is going to give him so much more in the way of harassment options. I really regret that we haven't seen a Dark Shrine from ToD yet. I think that's so good late on.
That would be an excellent, excellent transition at this point in time. But oh no, the Warp Prism is threatening one of the only remaining available expansions. And look at that instant warp in ToD, spending those juicy minerals on the Zealots, already starting to rip everything apart. High Templar have warped in.
Why did he put High Templar there? I'm so curious.
You know, I have absolutely no... Okay, he's getting an Archon in there. I do think it's a little bit of a mistake to overcommit an army to this side, but not only is he picking off this base, but he's forcing all the units to reposition to the left, preventing, really, this expansion from getting any threats for the near future.
Yeah, that +3 Archon is going to do a ridiculous amount of damage to these Lings. That'll literally one-shot a Zergling. Zealots are doing a good job as well, so Sheth is having to commit a lot more to this than I think ToD is necessarily invested in it. Lings will... No, they're not even going to be able to clean it up, so ToD just continuing to pour on the pressure. His main army is still growing in the center of the map. ToD is maxed again.
And it looks like a couple High Templar there for some feedbacks, and I can't believe this. I think that this one Warp Prism may almost be enough to take out this left base, but thank God that Corruptor arrived in time to pick off the single lone Warp Prism. And now we see... Oh, yes, the Fleet Beacon. Yes, indeed, a mothership's coming. The Void Ray count is continuing to holy. I actually almost cursed on air because that's a lot more Void Rays than
9 Void Rays, 7 High Templar, 17 Stalkers, an Archon, and a few Zealots. So it's a really, really scary army for ToD. He's transitioned completely out of Colossus tech, and he's just going to rely on Templar to work as the, I guess, area of effect unit of choice here. Sheth has managed to rebuild quite a few Broodlords, though, so this is still too close to call, in my opinion.
We do see Sheth slowly retaking more and more expansions. We see the Gravitic Drive, which will of course allow the Warp Prisms to be extra special and speedy. He is already gearing up to put pressure on the original third base from Liquid Sheth that is slowly running low, and ToD has effectively established a reasonable defense on this right side. Observers have a good sense of everything going on around the map.
Yeah, one thing that I feel like, what do you think, Sean? Has Sheth played a little bit too passively through the mid game? Did he miss his window to really punish ToD?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, the way that Sheth decided to exploit the situation, I think, was quite clever, just to tech to Hive almost immediately and get that huge force up so quickly. And ooh, he's got to get a fungal if he wants to nab that, and he doesn't quite manage to do it, and it looks like the Blinkstalkers are also taking out one of the only remaining expansions for Sheth.
Yeah, Sheth running out of options here. The Warp Prism is being chased around, and I wouldn't say dealt with just yet, but Sheth is very aware of the fact that this 9 o'clock side of the map is essentially his, bit of a fight here with the Blinkstalkers getting chased around by Zerglings. He's got to watch out for that, ToD. You don't want to lose these Stalkers. Archon's going to come up to help, and Sheth's going to turn right around.
It looks like the Corruptor is really committing to his duty as an anti-air unit. Got him.
Mission accomplished.
Now all you gotta do is become a Broodlord and harass.
Sheth is maxed out. ToD is maxed out. We have 2 big maxed armies. Mothership about halfway done.
This is really crazy. I mean, it's going to be a Mothership, Void Ray, Archon, Templar army versus a whole bunch of Broodlords again, and I think it's going to come largely down to the Infestor count. Looks like 8 Infestors are on the map, and he is still morphing away from anti-air units. I mean, maybe if he had a Neural Parasite and nabbed that Mothership, it is great to have cloaked Broodlords, but I mean, I just don't think that he quite has enough anti-air to answer that Mothership.
The Mothership is going to be a big problem, and you know what? Sheth's going to attack at the worst possible time. The Mothership is only 20 seconds away, and Sheth is looking like he wants to force an engagement. And, well, you know, I guess with an Overseer there, that's going to help some. Dark Shrine also coming up for ToD, so it's going to give him even more in the way of harass. More Zealots warped in over here at the left side of the map as Sheth is going to push into ToD's third base.
Oh my god, the computer can hardly process what's going on. We see a whole bunch of Infested Terrans trying to be planted down, but those Void Rays are charging up. We do see the Mothership, it's finally planted. It does look like the Broodlord army slowly gaining some traction, but the Void Rays are starting to clean up every form of anti-air, and this does not look good for the Zerg army at all.
Feedbacks all over. The Overseer's Corruptors trying to deal with the Void Rays. A nice fungal growth going down. The Void Ray numbers starting to dwindle. This is really close, Day 9.
I cannot believe that Sheth is actually barely managing to break through this, but he has just lost his expansion at the left side of the map, and ToD is slowly gobbling up the right.
Oh my gosh, what a game we are seeing right now. Look at the gateway count of ToD. This is silly how many gateways he has. I count 17 right now, and I'm pretty sure that I'm missing a few.
I know. I would love ToD, the interior decorators. Your patio could use some gateways.
Mothership is still out. It was completely untouched in that engagement. And the next time Sheth fights, there's going to be energy for Vortex. So that's going to make it even harder for Zerg to engage.
Ooh, that's going to be very dangerous. I mean, Sheth does have sick bank and is now churning out Hydralisks, Corruptors, everything else in the left position. It looks like ToD has done a great deal of damage. We see that sneaky War Prism also making its way down to this new southern expansion. And Sheth has nothing at his third, his natural, his main. The center expansion is essentially the only safe and running base, because now ToD is starting to put a little pressure on. Oh, he might just go for the main, pick off some of those tech structures.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a DT warp in the main, and that's going to be really tough for Sheth to deal with. There are a couple Spore Crawlers there, so that'll help some. In terms of just the detection. Sheth has a huge army in the middle of the map. Look at all these Broodlords. This has been an amazing game. 6 Broodlords, 15 Corruptors. The question comes down now, Day 9, to the Vortex.
Oh, the Greater Spire gets taken out immediately. What do you do in Liquid Sheth's position? He's trying to clean up all these Zealots. He might nab it with a fungal. No, he will be able to just clean it up cleanly. And right now, in the main base, it looks like Liquid Sheth might lose all of his tech structures. I think he just has to go for it.
The Hive is taking so much damage. The Hive is absolutely going to fall. There's no reinforcing units here at all. The one thing in Sheth's favor is the fact that there's a lot of supply tied up in units in his main. And here we go. Sheth is going to force the issue.
Uh-oh. Couple fungal growths, not only going to immobilize everything, but reveal that whole army. Will he be able to plant down the Vortex in time? He is slowly losing all those vital tech structures, and here is the big engagement. Manages to get a storm down, but it doesn't quite hit.
Oh! Wow, huge Vortex over all of the Corruptors. There really aren't any Archons here. But the one Archon ToD does have hops
he sneaks away. He dodges all the storms. We see more units morphing in. Oh no, we see Archons are in that fray, but we see that the Mothership gets eliminated nearly immediately. The Broodlord count is quite low. The Corruptors, though, pick off all the air units, and ToD somehow comes out on top.
All the Stalkers being warped in there constantly as that Vortex was working. ToD doing such a good job of warping in right on top of where the fight is, blinking forward, picking off the Corruptors. Sheth has lost his main. He cannot build Hydras. He cannot build the Corruptors. He cannot build really much of anything. What can Sheth build?
He can build Zerglings. For now. It's losing a lot of health. He won't be able to build Zerglings soon.
Oh man, what a terrible position to be in if you're Sheth. He's played quite an epic game, and ToD has been standing toe-to-toe with him the whole time. And, oh, look at this. A little bit of an infestor has managed to burrow and make its way into the back of...
the pool falls. Right now, Sheth can build drones and overlords and Mutalisks and Corruptors.
Okay, so we've got a Spire in place. Sheth does have a few units out. He's going to use these to try and deny this. Well, this base is absolutely going to be shut down. But ToD is just maintaining such a powerful army. 183 supply to 136. Income tab shows 78 probes to 57 drones. So a few more workers out for ToD as well.
ToD now moving forward with a very intimidating Stalker force. I cannot believe that ToD has managed to comfortably engage again and again and again with so many Broodlords, cleaning it up time after time after time. This has truly been the greatest game of Dreamhack thus far.
It's been absolutely epic. Both these guys playing their hearts out, quite frankly. Nobody wants to concede, and in spite of the fact that Sheth's been beat up a little bit here, he's not giving it up. A bunch of infested Terrans on the 3 o'clock side of the map have killed a few probes, but for the most part, ToD's been on top of it, pulling his workers in time to avoid taking, well, actually just sent them all back to work, so he's going to lose a few more workers here. At the same time, mutas are popping out for Sheth. He's got 11 mutas out. Mutalisk Roach Corruptor Zergling has now become Sheth's army composition as we approach the 40th minutes of this game.
I think this is a reasonable play to get these Mutalisks up. I don't know if these expansions are going to be very comfortable in terms of defendability. Just with the Mutalisks able to easily slip to the right and then back. We see another 7 Mutalisks popping out. ToD trying to hold this expansion. Ooh, there's a lot of Stalkers here, and with some well-placed storms and feedbacks, that could be, again, another terrible engagement for Sheth.
Those infestors are so scary, ToD, as we can see, in a situation where other players might have blinked forward, realizing, ooh, infestors are there. If I blink up, I'm going to get stuck, and I might not be able to win that fight. Still, such a close game. I can't believe it. ToD is maxed out once again. Sheth at 170 supply, but because he has less workers, has about the same size army.
You know, I absolutely believe that at this point in time, this is ToD's game to win. ToD, I do think, is in the better position in this point. But with these Mutalisks swinging into the right side, oh, and considering that the Protoss player is maxed, I think that ToD may lose his only mining expansions.
Ooh, this could be a really big deal. So ToD's going to have to make something happen here, and he's not sending any units over to reinforce at all. It looks like he's going to be content to just try and secure this center leftish expansion. Sheth, one more time, he's going to try to run forward, but this time ToD's army's in a good enough position to deny it. The Mutas will, in fact, kill the 3 o'clock main, and after that, I'm sure they're going to swing down to the 3 o'clock natural.
I'm getting really worried, though. No pool has been rebuilt for Liquid Sheth. He literally can only make Mutalisks and Infestors as the attacking unit, and it looks like ToD is going to be going for those left bases, and it is all up to Sheth to clean these bases up. He's got to be careful for those storms. Oh no!
Okay, anticlimax.
Looks like he manages to escape, and now comes the big engagement that Sheth has been trying to avoid all end game long. He will be pulling back with the Mutalisks, but a couple of storms and good Stalker blinks will completely end that push. And there's the mothership now, helping to cloak and reinforce everything. Sheth has to have some sort of clear plan of how he wants to take out this right base. Has a good amount of reinforcements. He needs to take out that Templar. He's moving forward. There's a great storm.
Huge storm, but is it going to be enough? Wow, another excellent storm. Cannon's doing a decent job, but there's just so many mutas there, Day9.
Oh gosh, but it looks like the muta numbers are slowly starting to dwindle. He does have enough for another nice storm. Still not enough, and it looks like ToD may lose this base. He's trying to morph in some more Stalkers. He's morphing in the Archon. Not that many Mutalisks left. 11 Mutalisks, and the Archon is nearly complete, and ToD defends.
Oh, wow. I cannot believe that ToD holds this expansion. At the same time, he's going to push forward with his main army. There's the Mutas. They're all getting cut up by these Stalkers. Sheth's going to lose another expansion. He's lost the bottom left third base to a bunch of Stalkers as well. ToD is just all around the map at once right now with Blink, Stalker, Mothership, High Templar. What?
An absolutely brilliant display of defense by ToD, managing to hold on to that expansion for so long. And now Sheth realizes that he needs to force some kind of engagement into his favor. He needs to get some sort of critical fungal. He is just going to go for this primary attack. And there's the Vortex capturing most of those Zerglings. He needs to. Oh, he loses 2 almost immediately to those feedbacks.
But the Stalkers.
Oh, he manages to blink up, take it all down. The Vortex finally wraps up, and a small platoon of Zerg units gets cleaned up again. Mutalisks on the right, able to barely eliminate that remorphing expansion. And now it looks like ToD, I think, has done the unthinkable, withstood thousands of Broodlords thrown at him. So many expansions under fire, but ToD, with this amazing defense, seems to always have an answer.
Absolutely impeccable play by ToD this game. Sheth with a never give up, never surrender, never say die attitude is finally falling down below 100 supply, 79 supply to a maxed out Protoss force. It is, I think these are the waning moments of game one, Sean.
I cannot believe ToD is that good at defense. He has had just enough of the right amount of units, controlled them just barely. I mean, it's unthinkable odds he's been up against. People say that there is no way to engage a Broodlord Infestor army once it gets maxed, that Protoss will lose in that bout every time. ToD had an answer. And there's the good game. Wow. Jeez, what an